I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, they budget the money and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government will compensate them so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs. Compliments of the season to you out there, and thanks for making it a date with us on the program Property Doctor. If you just stumbled on this channel, I'm sure you'll learn some tips today concerning your building. Here we talk about the acquisition of properties, the maintenance and the management of buildings and properties generally. It's your right to be happy and to enjoy your buildings. It doesn't matter whether you're a property owner or a property user. My name is Fumi Amunega Ajayi, also known as your Property Doctor. You can connect with us on Facebook and on Instagram and YouTube at Property Doctor NG, and on Twitter at Property Doc NG. Thank God we made it to the year 2022. It's not by our power, not by our might, but we thank God for keeping us even till this time. So many things happened in the year 2021 and even previous years in the construction industry. But we made progress and we made some mistakes as well. You know what? In my own opinion, the mistake we made is part of life and part of growth. But the failure is when we don't learn from our mistake. And the problem of not learning from our mistake is that we keep repeating the same mistake over and over again, and we don't want this to happen. So many people have New Year resolutions. We have great ideas, great tips, great dreams, great visions, and so on. You know, we have new hopes, new opportunities. But let's look back into the year 2021 and even back to 2020. We had a lot of problems in the construction industry. We made some progress. We had problems. We talked about the problems generally, and we had guests coming in to talk about those problems. But today we are reviewing a lot of these problems that we talked about earlier on. Possibly we have learned something from what happened to correct our mistakes so that they don't happen again. So we talked about the high cost of building material. We talked about the collapse of building, and as if that was not enough, we had a number of fire outbreaks in the country, especially in shopping malls. And you know, a lot of people lost money. Thank God we didn't lose lives, but we lost a lot of money and peace of mind. People lost their jobs and so on. We talked about all these things in the year 2020. We emphasized them in 2021. And I believe in this 2022, we'll build a better environment, and we ensure safety during construction and even after construction. Now, there are so many other things we talked about. We talked about water tanks and water pipeway, cleaning them, and also overcrowding in our buildings, power management, and there are some topics that some of our viewers enjoyed the most. These are some of the topics we'll be talking about today. We'll review them, and if you are interested in getting more ideas from these episodes, you can connect with us on our social media handles to get more tips. Now, I got more calls on some of these topics. The first one we'll be talking about is, should we build mansions in our villages or places we hardly visit? This particular topic raised a lot of emotions in some of my viewers. Some sent messages to me to show their joy, while others were in extreme anger. If you're just watching this program today, you can just get a clip of it and get an idea of what we talked about during that particular episode. So sit back and watch a clip from should we build our mansions in places we hardly visit or in our villages. Please let's have the clip. So what is a mansion, or what do we mean by a mansion? When we say mansion, we mean a very big house with many rooms, many living rooms, different kinds of rooms in the building, and so on. I like beautiful buildings. You see, a lot of care and passion has been put together to get a beautiful building standing. In my father's house, there are many mansions. From the dictionary, a mansion is a large, impressive dwelling place. Another interpretation says a house that contains a lot of flats. So when you put all these definitions together, we can be on the same page and know what we are looking at when we refer to big houses or when we say mansions. And now we are talking about mansions or buildings where we do not reside. Whether it is here in Nigeria or outside, anywhere you're not staying, having a mansion in that particular area is what we want to talk about today. So let's look at the advantages of owning a large house or a mansion. You know what, like I mentioned earlier, you can have many rooms. You can have a swimming pool, you can have a gym, you can have different things, games room and so on, even in the house. And you can entertain a lot of guests. But you know, whatever has an advantage, possibly will also have a disadvantage. Let me talk about a few. The cost of getting the land to build a big house on is quite high, and the cost of construction. And during the time of construction, you may face some problems if you want to build a big house. If you don't have the right people there to do the job for you, you may face some problems. Now, even after building a house, the maintenance cost is also expensive and is high. Furnishing those buildings too is another disadvantage, because you need to spend a lot of money to furnish the place, and you may have unwanted guests in the house. Now, the cost of power, the cost of cooling, the cost of heating and so on is quite high when you're talking about a big house. I'm actually talking about the cost here, because here we talk about the effective use of money when it comes to building and construction. Now, let's narrow down to the location of these large houses or mansions that we are talking about. Let's look at the houses in our villages or in our hometowns or places where we do not actually reside or visit often. Now, the next one we'll be talking about is building collapse. A number of buildings collapsed during the year 2021. Some collapsed even during construction. And the big one that occurred in November 2021 in Lagos made people lose so much on that particular collapse. People lost their lives, people lost money, peace of mind. Some people can never remain the same again because of what happened. Let's watch the clip on how to prevent the collapse of building in Nigeria. Builder Itodo, what is building failure?
Okay, building failure is when a building or any component of the building fails because of its inability to maintain a structural integrity.
Is structural integrity?
Yeah.
What is structural integrity?
Structural integrity is the ability of a building to stand and withstand the load imposed on it without deflating, without failing.
Okay, what are the kinds of load you want to talk about that can be imposed on a building?
The kind of load that a building normally faces is self-weight, dead load, and then the imposed load, the life load. The life load. And also lateral load, as in the wind forces against the building.
The wind forces?
Yeah, very lateral.
Okay. So, thank you. So what is the cause of a building failure? What do you think makes building fail?
There are many causes, but for me, the one I want to talk about now mostly is something that most people they overlook during building construction, and that is geotechnical survey.
Okay.
You hardly see somebody say, I want to build a house, and then it begins by saying, let me see the kind of soil. Because it's the kind of soil that determines the kind of foundation that comes into place.
That is the soil test.
Soil test.
So the geotechnical survey you are talking about is the soil test.
Soil test, yes.
And the other things that go with it.
That go with it.
Okay.
But a lot of people seem to overlook it, and they go straight to excavating.
They just go ahead.
Even engineers just assume that, okay, because it's kind of building, let's just do a part foundation, let's do a straight foundation, without actually carrying out a test to determine the foundation is adequate for that building. So that's also a cause of building failure.
I hope we learned something from this particular episode. If you want to get more tips on this particular episode, you can still connect with us on our social media handle to get details of what we talked about and even the guests talked about during the program. The next one we'll be talking about is the high cost of building material. You know, the price of building material keeps going up. We don't know the reason. We don't know the exact reason why this is happening in our country. We don't know whether it's just inflation or what. We don't even know what to talk about, but we are feeling it so hard. Even till now, as I'm talking to you, the price is still going up. So we looked into using eco-friendly alternative building materials. What do you think is the reason for the high cost of building material? Do you think we can use other materials or eco-friendly building material in place of these other materials as long as they are safe? Let's watch this clip so that you get ideas on what to do in case you're building your house right now. What do you mean by eco-friendly? We mean materials that are not harmful to the environment and its people. Eco-friendly simply means earth-friendly, not harmful to the environment, and it is people-friendly. The term refers to products that can contribute to green living or practices that help conserve resources like water and energy and so on. Eco-friendly products also prevent the addition or contribution to air pollution, land pollution, and even noise pollution. Let's look at some of these materials we'll be talking about that can be used for construction that are termed as eco-friendly, and how can we use them to save the earth, save cost, save time and money, also for easy maintenance and for management. In our previous episode, we talked about materials used for building or building materials. We talked about the natural materials and the man-made materials. Today we'll still be looking into the natural materials that can be used instead of the usual materials that we know. Looking at these materials, for some of them, we have substitutes already, but for some, we cannot replace them for now because man does not have that knowledge for now. Only God created structures and created the earth without beams, without columns, without anything, and the earth is still standing and is staying here for now. There's been no failure, no structural failure, no foundational failure, no failure whatsoever. It's only God that can do that. So let's talk about our natural materials. Our natural materials are like sand, stones, water, wood, and so on. Also, we are going to talk about the man-made materials. The man-made materials include tiles, include cement, paint, glass, so many other materials that we use in construction. The next topic we'll be talking about is the power management. You know, generating power costs a lot of money. And we talked about the tips on how to conserve energy or power in our homes. We brought in an expert who talked to us about power management in our homes and how to make sure that we don't waste so much money on generating power and conserving power in our home. Let's watch the video on power management in our homes.
If we have to put a lot of things in place or put into consideration a lot of things, I would say solar.
Solar
is the safest.
Okay, the safest.
For now.
Yeah.
Here. And unfortunately, some people don't enjoy solar because it is not handled professionally, but solar is very good and very efficient.
Okay. You've talked about safety for solar. You know, whatever we do, we always look at safety first. Now, what other sources of power do you think we can go into, maybe for a building, both commercial building and residential buildings?
Yeah, like I said, I believe you are talking about alternative in relation to the grid.
Yes.
Yes.
Just for us to get power.
Yes.
We just want to make sure that when we put on the switch, the light comes on. You can iron your clothes. You can boil water and cook.
Yeah. Frankly speaking, like I said, it's still
solar.
It's still the solar.
Okay.
There are other ways of generating. You can generate something you can consume in your house if you want to go the hydro way, the mini hydro way, and then generate for your own consumption. Because if you're talking of a large scale generation, then I mean you'll be talking about a lot of water.
Okay, that's what I was going Because when you talk about hydro, you're talking about water, right? So can you generate power in your house using the hydro method?
Yeah, there are ways that has been done. If it's going to be a very small scale, maybe just to light your fence, you can just construct something that an hydro, a small generator that has a way of turning. And what is it that will turn it? Maybe you can put it in a stream or in a drainage around you that you know that water flows into it. You put it there, so the water that is flowing through will rotate, will make the propeller or something to rotate. And once that rotates, the electricity is generated.
Wow. Just like it happens in the dam?
Yes.
Okay, is that possible here in Nigeria? Have you seen it?
Well, project-wise, maybe a student is doing project or something, yes. But it needs constant water to work.
Okay.
And that is why I will recommend solar, because that one is not controlled, it's controlled by nature. I mean, the water that flows in our drainages maybe water that is being used in a particular estate or in a particular area. Yeah. Now, if nobody flush or if nobody throw water in, it means that there won't be water to.
Okay, so no particular type of water, whether clean water,
water,
foul water.
Well, provided it's the water. If it's not clean, you can filter it at some point, and filter it so that at least you don't have particles going into the equipment that is generating the.
We've been talking about those topics we discussed in 2021, and the response we got from our viewers, the feedback was great on these particular topics we've been talking about. The next topic we'll be talking about is the topic about professionals in the building environment. We had many guests in the house. We had estate surveyors, structural engineers, electrical engineers, we had builders, we had architects, we had engineering craftsmen. They talked to us about a lot of things you need to know concerning the construction of building. We also had a guest that talked about the management of electrical faults in our homes so that you will not have any problem whatsoever concerning electricity. You know, you cannot see electricity, but you can feel it if you touch any of these wires. So let's watch this clip on managing electrical faults in our buildings.
You know through when blinking of lights.
When the light is blinking.
When light is blinking. Then number two, you hear smell of cables.
Okay, maybe.
Burnt.
Cables burning.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you hear some sparking noise, maybe either from the distribution box or from the socket point. So you easily know through these three factors.
These are key features, yes, that you can detect on your own.
When you have electrical fault in the house.
Okay, so what causes electrical failure?
Electrical failure normally comes up maybe overload. You know, most times in this part of the country or the world, we do national altitude by not giving measure to, you know, let me use the word a compromise. Maybe you have a 500 kVA and you overload.
You're talking about the transformer now?
Yes, transformer, okay. Then you overload.
The transformer.
The transformer, at least the maximum capacity is supposed to carry maybe 500 kV, and you are not loading it more than that. So that one will definitely cause power failure.
But that one is in an maybe in an area that you have so many people. Yeah. So what you're saying now is that when the load or the capacity of the transformer has been
overloaded,
attained, you should get another transformer.
Yes, to reduce the load on that transformer, to avoid power failure. Yes.
Okay, so that means the transformer will trip off.
Yes, from the feeder pillar, from the transformer you have feeder pillar. From the feeder pillar you have uprising there before you distribute to various houses. So when you have such overload, so the problem will come back to feeder pillar, then you find out that the power will go off.
Okay. Now let's come back into the home.
Okay.
So let's know how we can find out that the electrical outlet is having a problem, or maybe burning, or is not connecting properly.
No, when you have a partial contact.
What is partial contact?
Partial contact is a junction box where all wire is connected. If it's not properly tied, when it has leakage,
there's a leakage.
There, yes, you have a electrical problem from that source too.
Okay.
Then number two, if you have a socket unit, maybe 30 amps or 15 amps, and is burning gradually by process, and you didn't take note of it on time, can also cause a problem. But it's always good we have this maintenance culture, because we always like this national attitude. We don't even care until it happens. But if you have this maintenance culture as a routine check from your appliances, you hardly have this problem.
So that was managing electrical faults in our homes. Many people are planning to build their houses or buy houses within this year. We talked about things to look out for to avoid demolition of your buildings. We had a seasoned town planner who explained in details what to look out for, so that you will not waste money in building a house and you find out that it will be demolished. Let's watch this clip on the demolition of structures, or demolition of illegal structures in the urban area.
Demolition, I will perhaps answer that question in the context of the Urban Regional Planning Law. It is said that in section 60 to 63, developments of buildings that will be eligible to be demolished. Firstly, if such buildings have been erected without a building permit, if such building has been erected on floodplain, or
that means if they don't have building permits, that's
building plan permit.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, that's it. Of course, that renders the building illegal in the eyes of the law.
So if your building doesn't have a building plan permit, it is rendered illegal, or it is called illegal, and
so the required contravention notice will be so served upon expiration of the grace period of the expiry of the demolition notice. Of course, the demolition notice will clearly say the contravention, that the issues are that the development has been erected without an approval, and then upon expiration of the grace period, the development will then be removed. Of course, firstly, you'll be required to remove it. If you don't remove upon expiration, the authority, in the case of the state as it may be, will then move in to remove such building and then recover the logistics of the removal from you who have erected such illegal development. That's what the law says.
So they will recover the logistics to demolish the
cost
building,
which the authority have incurred during the process of the removal of such illegal building shall be recovered from the developer.
Okay, you were saying something about floodway just now, before I cut you.
Yes, I was trying to explain scenarios where you have buildings that are illegal that will be eligible for demolition. If buildings are not only being erected illegally, but in order so we understand the context, when you erect building under power line, where they constitute safety hazards to the occupant. In such instance, the authority, in the greater good of the public, will then move in to remove such building. And also when they are erected along floodplain, where they could also constitute potential hazard to the occupant, damage to their lives and property, the authority will then move in to save life and property by removing such developments.
Okay. What if a building is erected on a seaway?
That's also part of it, because those are services that are like lifelines for the city. Water line, sewer line. So in order to ensure that during maintenance sessions that the appropriate right of way and setback are left such that maintenance can effectively be carried out, it is expected that no development are put upon the right of way of the sewer line or service lines, so as the case may be.
Okay, how do we know houses that are liable to be demolished?
Okay, it's actually not rocket science. Like I've explained the criterion. When we see developments that are not conforming with the perhaps basic requirements of the required setback from the road, when they are located in such area like under the high tension power cables, located along sewer line or on water lines, it's just that we would obviously know that these are buildings that approval have not been sought and obtained before erecting them.
So you see, it's very important you talk to your professionals so that you don't waste money during construction and you find out that at the end of the day your building will be demolished. Thank you for being with us on this episode of Property Doctor. We hope to see you same time next week for another interesting episode. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and bye.
I'm coming. If you hand over to government to maintain, the budget the money and share it.
To live in that particular place that the house is. So it's supposed government will compensate them so that and pay them and relocate them to where they are going and build another house for them.
Careful engineering and management to meet human needs.